Hi everyone, and welcome to your favorite podcast, The Outlier. The Outlier is where we bring you stories untold, the human behind the profession, the unconventional paths. And today we have a guest that's a very special guest. We're often told that success is a story. It follows a very particular formula, the right degree, the right career, the right time to raise your hand. But the guest that we have today, she made her own formula. She experimented with many different things. She started her career as a graphic designer, and then she went on to study politics. She also went on to take on an advisory role to the minister in the Ministry of Sports and Culture in Qatar. And she now is doing many different things and in her own career capacity as well in her personal capacity. Our special guest today is Shaikha AlMarri. Shaikha, welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Zarqa. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you. First of all, I want to say I'm so happy to have you. And before I actually let Shaikha speak and we want to hear from her, I just want to say that what I love about Shaikha is that she's always learning something new. She's not defined by one career path. She is a well-trained graphic designer. She studied, I think, graphic designing at VCU. But as you know, the Outlier is not about the CV, and I'll let her talk about herself in a bit. But I think it's just really beautiful how she combined different careers all together. She didn't let one path define her. So Shaikha, why don't you, rather than me going and explaining more about your career, we also know that you were the first Qatari woman in the Politics and Press Department in the EU delegation to Qatar, and that's very impressive, very different from graphic designing. So how do you want the audience to know you? How do you want the listeners to know you?
Thank you so much, Dr. Zarqa, for this beautiful introduction. I hear many comments like that. What's the relationship between a graphic designer and public policy? Because I completed international in public policy from Queen Mary University of London. Mm-hmm. And what has that to do with politics? And I think every knowledge in the world is interconnected somehow.
Right.
And people should be aware of that. And I think as humans, we were meant to be rich with various aspects. Mm-hmm. When we learn about history and inspiring Islamic scholars or Muslim scholars, whether women or men, or even scholars internationally, we learn how they had different careers, but somehow they invented this invention in biology or technology or any kind of field. So we don't know how that is interconnected to that. And this is the reality of life. Mm-hmm. Guess what? It's the reality of life. And I think it's really important to have various information of different fields. Mm-hmm. Like I love biology, I love physics, I love literature, poetry. I love history too much, and psychology. Mm-hmm. And I think because you are dealing with humans in the end, well, anywhere you go, you're dealing with the humans, and the projects you work on, it's intended to societies and humans. Mm. So it's very important that you have the richness of the background when it comes to dealing with humans. So as a graphic designer, the aspect of designer and, the stereotype about graphic design, I'm not sure about how other, people studied or other institutional provide the graphic design major. But as someone who graduated from VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University and Qatar Foundation, I studied literature, I studied forensic science, which is very, very excited to me. And I studied, mathematics, art history.
So it was very multidisciplinary from what I know.
Absolutely.
And it's like that, I think, in all of the QF branch campuses, is that you study some sort of liberal arts before you get into
I love that, because when I wanted to choose my major in the beginning, everyone was going to business administration or whatever, right, management, wherever field or major that guarantee them a job. And for me, I wasn't looking for that. I was looking for something that could fulfill my curiousness, mm-hmm, to the world. And when I knew about graphic design major in VCU, it was multidisciplinary, as you said, and which is something that I was looking for. I wanted to work with collective, with collage art. I wanted to work with filmmaking. I wanted to work with writing and reading and research. And I worked with the wood shop. And it was something really special that I can work with my own hands and also in the laptops and also with technology and also knowing about history. And not only that, we studied also psychology.
Right.
And when it comes to art history, you studied how everything in life is influenced somehow with different cultures and then different things, because art history is you studied the human communication from centuries and how Christianity contributed to Islam and how Islam contributed to Christianity when it comes to art and architecture and literature, and how every community, even humans in the arts in the Stone Ages,
right,
how they communicated their ideas. And it was very, very interesting to know that. I think it's part of sociology, if we can say
right.
that.
Yes.
And
it
from
certainly
that,
is.
yes. And I studied philosophy and theories, and having this richness of having the like a holistic view of the world. I thought that we are free to design, and designer is someone. It's not like artist. Artists work with art and materials and methods and aesthetics and message, of course. But a designer is someone different. Designers work in many materials. They can work as in architecture. They can work on media and social media and in communication and even in research papers, even in presentations. So it's in everything. A designer mindset wants someone who is flexible and open-minded and open to problem solving of the challenges and open to learn new things, to bring in new ideas and to be innovative in their solution or solution-based project. And the important thing is that when we bring a project or when we speak about something, we're not allowed to say we choose that because we like it. Yeah. I put that because I like it. I design it in that way because I like it. No, it should be research-based, fact-based, evidence-based.
But isn't that art too? Like you said, artists work with, in a different format. But it's also a type of art. When you're working with different materials,
Exactly.
we're working with different problem sets, and you're creating like these very creative solutions to different, to different problems. Not even problems, maybe just different ways of looking at things around you, whether it's architecture,
Absolutely,
or like building a housing space. I don't know.
Absolutely, but I think a designer is more. It has the freedom to work on maybe various materials or various fields,
Right.
which is more open than the art field. It includes art, but it's also open to different fields because it can work. It can work on civil engineering.
Right.
It can work in designing a whole community system. It can work with designing any kind of system, in the world. It's all based on design. Even propaganda is based on design,
Right.
which is a different aspect. And how it's connected to public policy and how I find it my passion to public policy. Because when I discovered that there are many things that it's limited for expression or to express about or to deal with, even if you want to design a specific system that works in the benefit of society or something. I think I entered a very complex reality of politics, and then I asked,
because everything is politics.
I mean, politics is in everywhere. People,
it's an everyday life.
I mean, if you said that to anyone, they acknowledge that, but somehow they ask how everything is connected. I mean, medical field is connected to politics, educational field is connected to politics. Politics is in everything. And one of the inspiring, quotes that I like from a Muslim influential leader in Turkey, he said, Muslims who don't care about politics will be ruled from politicians who don't care about Muslims.
This is a really powerful call, and it's very true.
You can apply it to different people or different interests. So if you have a specific belief and you don't care about politics, then you will be ruled for someone who don't even believe in your belief, and you will be ruled by their own belief that may not present you or fit you.
Yes, and that's what's happening in our world right now.
Absolutely, and I said, so why not join the public policy? And I choose international public policy because I didn't want to be defined with a specific territory. I wanted to be international and public policy because I wanted to be wide as much so I can work freely under it. And I didn't want to have like an empty chair for someone who doesn't represent us to sit on that chair and do policies, whether on art or design or the system that we work on that doesn't necessarily fit us. So it is in our responsibility to come to the table and present ourselves, present our people, present our faith. And I think someone in the decision making and working with public policy, coming from a designer mindset, as someone different.
That is so interesting.
Absolutely.
That's literally bringing, I think this is multidisciplinarity in action.
Absolutely.
And not even interdisciplinarity, because it's different, literally multiple disciplines coming together. And this is exactly what I love about your work.
Absolutely. Because when you have this multidisciplinary background, you are more open to different ideas, more open to different cultures, and you can put yourself in their shoes. And understand their mentality, and you know how to deal with them and deal with their mentality, and you can somehow persuade them to your approach. And the way you design the information, the way you present the information, it all depends on the way you communicate it. Because in the room, you may not have the smartest idea, but somehow your idea get to be passed because of the way how you present it.
And that is the art of marketing, is like how you market your idea, how you present yourself. And absolutely, I think communication is an art. I think marketing is an art. And in fact, a lot of the ways in which we present the ideas, like you said, is kind of more important than sometimes the idea itself, is how to make it relatable and understandable to everyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this is really beautiful, Shaikha. And I want to talk a little bit about QF, Qatar Foundation, and how it shaped your life, because I know you talk about that a lot. But before I go there, I want to take a step back and talk about your upbringing. Because in my research, as I was reading more about you, I know Shaikha personally, I think way back. I remember the first time I met her, I was on a panel discussion, I think, and you were still a student in VCU. That's when I met you. That's how at least I remember it. And then since then, we were in touch. But I want to talk about your life before that, before QF, because I know you mentioned that many times. You mentioned that QF was a turning point in your life. But tell us about your life before that. I think you take a lot of pride in your values, in your upbringing, in your public schooling. You said you attend public schools. You also mentioned to me in a conversation before between me and you that you were really impacted by your Bedouin values, which I think is really, really beautiful. I personally love the concept of values, and especially Bedouin values. I grew up around a lot of Bedouin values myself. But I want to focus on you. So tell us a little bit about that. Tell us about growing up, what impacted you the most, and how did you become more of yourself?
So I was raised in an area called Markhiyat al-Darb. Markhiya is the name of our huge plant there. And al-Darb, the way, it's called in English, it's the way, because it's witness the coming of camels' caravans and those like the old mailboxes and where they deliver messages and they bring letters and from the continent, and also in trade and these kind of stuff. So and I was living in the family farm away from the city with the nature.
That's beautiful.
Yes. My first friends, only my cousins. The TV, like Space Tune, my favorite, because it has many values. It's like, when I see it nowadays, I feel like, wow, I was witnessing these kind of messagings in every words. That was huge. And I think that shaped my value system. And also my friends were the sulugi dogs, and the animals and the plants. I was having this kind of, relationship with the environment, and I didn't have that much of, interaction with people around outside my circle.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I was in the age of the school, we went to Arayan.
Okay.
City.
Well, I went to private schools here, but I know the public schools had their own kind of environment.
Yes,
and very interesting.
And I was a shy girl, and I was very observant. I like to observe more than to do or to start doing any action, because interacting with different people of different mindset, different dialects. I don't know how they see me, how I'm expected to deal with them or to say to them or, to interact with them. It was very, very, very interesting. And in a nutshell, the kind of environment I was with through whole my school, journey until high school, which I am really grateful for, in public school. And, the girls around me and the community around me share the same belief. Mm-hmm. So basically, I was living in a comfort zone because we were never challenged.
Yeah, you talk about that comfort zone a lot in your interviews. Yes. I've seen that.
Yes, and
it's like you were living in a world, and then later on, it was like completely challenged.
Yes, absolutely. I wasn't challenged, and everything I do or I wear, it's expected. This is us. This is how we raised, and that was the sufficient answer for those people around me. And I was, grateful for this experience because I had a very strong Arabic rooted language.
Yeah, which is very important.
Yes, really important. Mm-hmm. And also my Bedouin background, our dialect is the closest to the Arabic formal.
Right, that's true.
This is also contributed to that. And the values I was raised with, simplicity is the richness. And it's important to deal with everyone as equal, and we are equal. And it's important because when you are in a Bedouin background, values, you don't do everything because it represents you. You need to take responsibility that you present your family, present the name
so it's
of
a collective culture.
It's a collective culture.
Which I think is very important to have these collective values. It's beautiful.
It's important because you know what? This is how the world system works on. And whoever, lacks the family or, a wider family systems, they rely on other systems because this is how humans should, work or live with.
Social units.
A social unit. And it's very important because provides empathy, provides compassion, generosity, and I think it's very, very beautiful.
It is, absolutely is. I have to say the concept of simplicity and generosity are some of the most beautiful of Bedouin values. I think these values exist in other cultures too, but I think it's very pronounced and very profound, something that is, I think, passed on.
Absolutely.
And I love that. And I grew up with a lot of that around me, and it was very inspiring. And in our conversations, I found that you take a lot of pride in that.
Absolutely. And I love it. And I love how when I hear about the stories of going to different tribes, a different group of people, or hosting different people from different cultural backgrounds to our community, I loved how cultural diplomacy started from there. Yes. And how for us it's really important to understand those people of different cultural backgrounds and how you connect the dots to achieve whatever goal you want to reach, whether it's a peacemaking or whether an approach you want to do or whatever aim you want to do. The cultural diplomacy I was raised with.
Right.
And having
so you got your love for cultural diplomacy from your childhood and upbringing. That's right? From your values, from your Bedouin values, right?
Absolutely. And the fact that there is an evil and goodness in the world, and how you navigate these challenges and stay grounded with your own values, and regardless of how long life it is or short, truth will reveal. That's the nature of truth, will reveal regardless of anything. And untruth and lies and whatever evilness in the world, they have a short lifespan. Right. So you choose your team. And, growing up, I just noticed when I interacted with the international, communities, I discovered that people who, have different beliefs, or people who lack, any kind of belief, they have a tendency to rely on something materialistic or unmaterialistic to gain some power, whether protection or power, empowerness or wherever. And when I saw that, and I saw the different rituals and belief system that they had, I get more grounded to my own belief, and I choose angels and Allah. Honestly,
Okay, right.
I choose that team
So it's
in life. Honestly,
so between the angels and devils, you chose the angels.
absolutely,
That's what
I'm
you're
team
saying.
angels.
So this is really interesting. You know why? Because everything you're saying is so important. Because as a political sociologist, but just as a social scientist myself, so I think that the world that we live in today, in every sphere of life, whether it's socio-political or even like more individual level, our societies abroad globally are losing a set of common moral compass. And I think what makes, in my opinion at least, strong societies is when we have a value-based society or some sort of moral compass to kind of guide us or navigate us through the problems that we live in today. And our world today is becoming more and more complex. So this is beautiful hearing that you got your values and your moral compass very early on. Right.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and nowadays the ethical, topics is discussed even in Oxford, and I, encourage the listeners to join the justice, module, which is in Oxford. It's online and it's for free, where they discuss is ethics needed, or is it, even people are asking what's the matter of ethics. So people kind of underestimate, do we need ethics or not? Is it only aesthetics, or does it only sound nice and that's it? Actually, if you did your research and research more about ethics, ethics is a survival matter. It's nothing aesthetics, because when you do ethic, when you are being ethical, aside from the beautiful reputation that we're going to have and the inspirational impact to societies, it is a survival matters for communities.
Yes. I think the cohesiveness in communities, in global communities, and how we interact with each other, because we're becoming more and more, the world is becoming more and more kind of a global village, in the sense that the distance has shrunk. We are being exposed to different cultures. We're interacting with different people more than ever, whether it's online, whether it's in person. And though we might come from different cultures, all of us with different upbringings, there needs to be, I think, a shared sense of human values.
Absolutely, and especially in a capitalistic world or system, that everything is
now we're
consumption.
Talking about capitalism,
capitalism, and people are consumption. Your value is what you wear. Your value relies on materialistic.
Very materialistic. It's very, very like performative.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Shaikha, I want to take you to after the step after that, which is when you came to QF.
Yes.
And you often mentioned, because you went to public schools and then you studied in VCU at QF, Qatar Foundation.
Yes.
We have that in common. We're both QF graduates. So you mentioned that in I think some of your past conversations, you mentioned that it was a time of awakening for you. It was an intellectual growth for you. So tell us a little bit about what is it that happened at QF that challenged you? What was that awakening like for you? What happened? What beliefs did you learn? What beliefs did you have to let go? Tell us about your QF awakening.
Coming from, an experience where I lived with similar mindsets, similar people, where we have the same thought, the same belief. We are the best, and we have the best ideology, we have the best social system, and that's it, without any kind of other experiences or other information that may or may not challenge our ideology. Coming to VCU, live and studying and living with people of different culture backgrounds who not necessarily share with me the same,
But QF is known for its diversity,
which I love. And,
I love it too.
And here, where it was really a shifting point of life in my life, when I started to sit with people or talk with people, and they would ask me, "So why do you wear hijab? Why do you?" Why
Were you actually like that? Is so interesting to me that question.
I mean, I've never expected in my life to be asked that question. I mean, I was rehearsing in my mind. I was saying, maybe we were raised like that.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel satisfied with that answer. It felt like no, it didn't sound good, and those people not necessarily share with me
They
the
wanted you to
same
give them a logic or maybe like
or deep
to
answer,
explain what you believe in.
which I should know that because
Yes.
of my faith that
Yeah.
reinforce us to educate ourselves and being an intellectual people, and because everything is connected with science and knowledge, we should have known this. Why do we wear that? It's not just a fabric.
Yeah.
So I discovered, and when I did my research, because women are underestimated over history, and also women are viewed by what they wear, what they reveal, and their value only relies on materialistic, components. You force them to upper their gaze to your minds and see you as someone intellectual with an equal right of respectness and dignity to them.
Yeah.
So this helps us to navigate our life, to work freely, and to engage with this mixed world in a safe manner. So I know what people will say, well, the same danger comes to women regardless of what she wear. This is why what I discovered from the film, The Modesty, and when I interact with different people of different cultural backgrounds, I'm always being challenged, and I like to be challenged, and I also challenge them. So I like to be challenged, and I like to challenge.
Yeah,
when it comes to thoughts.
I think when it came to QF, and it continues to today, is that a lot of your thoughts, you're taught, and I think this is what a good education system should do, is to kind of help you understand your beliefs, help you understand different views, and you will never understand different views if your own views or beliefs are not challenged a little bit. You need to kind of sit with people, because sometimes if we grow in a place where everybody's the same, or you're in the same community, like it just reinforces everything, which is why I think one of the values in education is to be able, at least early on in your undergraduate, to be able to really challenge some of what you know and what you believe in, so that later on you can hold on to what you really believe is stronger, because you understand the value of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So and I think that's beautiful. I think we do that beautifully in here in QF, and I love that.
Absolutely. And this is actually based on our faith, because our faith, God, Allah is represented or presented in a way that He said, we sent you as a mercy for the world. We are a religion of a world. We are a faith and a guidance for the world. So we are never meant to live in abandoned or excluded from the international system or from the whole communities. We should be like an ambassadors, in a diplomatic, cultural way to all communities. And if we believe that we have the truth, and we absolutely have the truth reveals itself, and it cannot come and cannot sent to all communities without kind of discourse. We need to have interaction with them, interact with them, humble ourselves to the truth, to knowledge, to different cultures, get to know them, and we allow them to get to know us. And this is, I think, how we should live, not in an isolated bubble, out of the world, because it doesn't serve our message.
That's beautiful. I don't think it's possible to kind of like stay in a bubble any longer, which is why I think, to your point, like the interactions happen whether or not we like it, because we consume so much social media, we see content from all over the world. But I think, and many times people will make a perception of you based on your online persona, or like what they see you write or on X or Twitter, or what they see you post on whatever platform. But it's different when you sit with someone and you have an interaction with them, like face to face. I think we're able to humanize the connection and understand. I think there's beauty in human connection and beauty in human interaction, which only happens if you like really sit down with someone and face to face and talk to them.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I think to have that physical space to do that in forms of universities or like educational spaces is very important, because online takes away that personal or the human aspect of human interaction, which I think is very much the basis of who we are as humans, right?
Absolutely. This reminds me of one of the experiences that was an open gate to my, experience in VCU.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, last year in high school, I went to live in Wimbledon for 1 month with a British family.
When you were in VCU?
well, high school, actually.
In high school?
16 years old.
Wow.
And it was mind-blowing. I know my mom was very courageous, and I salute her for her courageousness and, being different from the community and not ruled by the, the culture. That point was really life-changing for me, and it made it really expected to know the kind of experiences in VCU and in Qatar Foundation. So when I lived 1 month in Wimbledon with a British family, my mom lived beside me in another city just to give me this feeling that she's here with me. It was very different for me because I lived a life that needs someone that fully dependent on themselves.
Right.
In a life where you have housemates and drivers and brothers and male figures who support you in your daily life system. It's beautiful but powerful, but not necessarily life in other communities work like that.
Yeah.
So
it's not easy because I remember when I lived alone as a graduate student, and it was really not easy.
Absolutely. And I thought, why not being prepared for that and having and being equipped with that skills?
Yeah.
In case we don't know how life goes on.
Yeah.
If we don't have these privileges, at least we can navigate by ourselves.
Yeah.
And that was very mind-blowing. And I studied in Wimbledon English School.
Yes.
Where I interacted with different students and different people from different mindsets and different cultures. And some of the English schools were, made in churches. So
so you were studying in like the school. The classes were held in the church.
Yes, some of the classes were held in
Very
the church, and I was. It was something interesting because I got to feel the feeling of the people going to the church and how it feels to be in a church, even though the class was English. But I know what's the other messages behind that when I grew up. What was their messages about that? And it was really nice because I think it's really critical to live the life of other people, to put yourself in their shoes. Especially if you want to interact with different people, different mindsets, and you want to present your message. Because if you want to present your message, you don't want to present it in a way that doesn't relate to them. You want to make it somehow related to them, and that can be without living their life, knowing their challenges, and knowing their feelings and their belief system.
Yeah.
I even read some of their books because they preach people.
Oh yeah,
about Christianity.
They think that preaching is like only in Islam, but actually I've seen so much more preaching, open preaching in Europe when I was a student there, and it's open preaching where people come to your house doors and they would knock, and then I also had to really. I mean, I was very close to my religion, but I was again not used to kind of like the preaching culture.
Absolutely.
That happened to me. And then I was like, I don't know how to respond. And I would just be like, no, thank you. I don't need this. And he'd be like, just have a look at it. And I was like so scared. I was like, no, it's okay. Thank you.
I think there is no reason to be afraid of.
And then I read the text.
Yes, I read some of the text, and I get to have a dialogue with them and some very challenging questions. And I would provide them the alternatives and what we believe on and how we have a common. Actually, if you speak to them, you let them witness that we share a lot with them, and this is an eye-opening experience. And I also, in the middle of my journey, new students came to the house that I was living in, and they, come to be Israeli, 2 girls, and it was something different because I'm living with the people that I only hear about them. I never met them.
Yes.
So when we hang out or we sit together and I get to know their mentality, it was something different to me to know about people living in another country but goes in the same country, but somehow they belong to both countries. And it was something different and how their belief system works, especially, about religion and this kind of stuff. It was really sensitive, and when they speak about their culture, and I really know it's a Palestinian culture.
Yes.
In fact, it was really close to my heart to have this kind of experience, like in reality.
Yeah.
So based on that, I can made conversations, or I can made research or this kind of stuff, because it's not only about what I only heard or what the camera frame choose to show me in TV or social media, but it's also things and experiences that I witness with those people, and that's the importantness, which also our religion, reinforces, to be open to other cultures and other mentalities, just to witness their weaknesses and their strength,
Right.
and to know how to navigate.
And I think this is probably one of the beauties of learning beyond the classroom, like having these kind of dialogues. So like when I was a graduate student in the UK, we founded this Christian Muslim Dialogue Society, and it was also very interesting because, like you said, like we found that it was for the first time for me that I had to kind of explain my faith. I was very much settled in my faith, but I had to explain to other people and understand that sometimes we'll have to agree to disagree. Like you cannot convince them of anything, they cannot convince you of anything, but you have to like respect that that is their faith, and you know this is your faith. As long as they let you, they respect you, and you have to understand to respect. And that was, I think that's one of the beauties of like kind of having that exposure outside of your own community, of your own society. So Sheikha, your famous design work on Sado wasn't just about aesthetics. I know you did that for your graduation project. It was closer to your heart. It was about your cultural heritage. Tell us a little bit about that. I think that was a beautiful piece of work.
Thank you so much. So the Sado project, it was inspired by the art of Sado and the need that I thought it's needed, the fact of adding something to a Sado. So researching about the Sado and witnessing in national days and cultural days, whether locally or internationally in our embassies, they always present the same Sado patterns, and this is our culture. I know it's beautiful, but when I researched about it, the beautiful art that was made by the people of the Badu from a very limited resources, and they presented this beautiful art where it has codes, poetry, languages,
and it's more than one design.
Absolutely inspired from their environment and their experiences. It's absolutely beautiful. And nowadays, when we have this richness of resources, what is our impact to that art? I think we should transcend this art more and add, more out of it. So as a new generation, what was our impact to this art, our touch in this art? Because, of course, we have different challenges that they had. We have different things in our environment, different technology, different ideas from all days, because it depends on the different experiences. So did we have an impact to this art? Did we transcend this art beyond of what it intended to be with? Because I know they were limited by the experience and the resources. So I think with the richness of resources that we have nowadays, I think it's our responsibility to add more to this art. And I worked on new patterns because it's based on patterns. So I didn't change the whole.
You created your own patterns. Is that what I understand?
Yes. So you didn't change the foundation of it because it's authentic.
Beautiful. It's like going back into the past and then kind of taking the inspiration.
Just complete the journey.
Yeah, and creating because it's becoming, like you said, something that's becoming kind of like throughout different spaces. It's like one design, but you wanted to revive it to create something more.
Yes, and there were like patterns like the scissors, the airplane, and I was thinking, who did witness an airplane in these days? And then they just made it in the Sado, and this is like elements that they witness in their lifestyle and life journey. So of course we have more than airplanes nowadays. We have many elements that gain specific messages. We don't know its codes and beautiful language, which is very intelligent. So I added more patterns that represent specific values of nowadays, specific ideologies and ideas and beliefs that presented by patterns. And I think that's what added more richness to the Sado pattern, and also new different colors, because now we have multiple colors nowadays that wasn't available in old days. And this is, I think, how new generations contribute to the legacy of their cultural communication and art and, the wealth that they had. I think it's really important to continue that and not leaving it hold in a specific era and then it died eventually because somehow it doesn't relate to the continued and contemporary life.
I think it's beautiful because now it was become more like a cultural symbol, but to you it's more about like reviving your cultural heritage and not and creating to innovate it so it doesn't become a thing of the past, but it remains relevant today. And I think that's a beautiful approach to
An inspiration
Yeah.
of today. And you see Qatar nowadays, Qatar succeeded in balancing between heritage
Yes.
and modernity. And this is
Right.
very beautiful and very smart and something inspiring to the whole world.
Yes.
Because you take your legacy and the art and the ideas and beliefs as an inspiration for your future design, for your future messaging, communication, and and the whole system.
Right. I think this is beautiful. And I think you're right. Like this kind of mix between heritage and contemporary culture is beautiful because life is always moving forward. I think cultures are always changing. And that is very important to keep in mind that cultures are not they're not abstract and they're not linear and they're not always the same throughout time. The whole concept of culture is that it keeps changing with humans. And I think this kind of interpretation and this kind of reviving or revival of culture is at the heart of keeping your heritage alive in new ways. So like your work, I think, is a great example of that, is that your heritage doesn't die out and it doesn't stay the same as before, but it continues to exist in new forms, in new ways, but it still takes from the past. So I think that's really, really beautiful, which is why I find your work really inspiring, is because I think that your work is always driven by values and by philosophy and, by deeper meaning. So and which is what I love about what you do. And this is why I think your work deserves more visibility. So Shaikha, I'm enjoying this conversation so much and I want to have a long conversation with you. But let me ask you the very typical outlier question. The outlier is about your outlier moments, things out of the ordinary or whatever you want to call them, obstacles, unexpected moments. So where in your life, not professionally, but personally, have you felt like an outlier, or did you have to deal with an outlier moment?
I think the people, like, let's say the people around me, I don't like to generalize because they say this is the language of the ignorance.
Yeah.
Because it's fact, people are different. But I mean, the majority that I interact with, the people, the community, they care more about materialistic, which is something shared worldwide because of the capitalism kind of system and the mindset of consumption, which reflected and affected the lifestyles of people. And some of the cultural, beliefs that doesn't necessarily relate to our faith, negatively contributed to how we live our life and how we contribute to our life and have positive impact, which is the source of living, basically, to find a purpose and having a beautiful impact. It's not to seek your value under materialistic stuff. And the many and hundreds of gatherings that discuss shallows,
And you don't find that interesting?
no, I'm wasting my time and energy, and I came all the way just for this kind of discussion. It's absolutely not my type, and people would feel that I'm kind of boring or
Because you're not
isolated.
materialistic, you're boring.
I mean, yeah.
Or like you're not going with it. Because I think by the way, I think it's a global thing. It's a very trendy
Absolutely.
society. Like all these products would go online, like viral, and then everybody has to have them. Or this, like, it's such I think the new media generation adds to this materialistic culture because you have all these trends, whether it's the songs or whether it's these things that they try out on TikTok or like these makeup products, or there's nothing wrong with it, but it's very trendy.
Yeah,
Trend
very
following
trendy.
the trend.
But if they give like a very small effort to dig deep to what these messages represent, they would know really, deeply that doesn't represent them. It doesn't represent their values or their own belief because it's very shallow. And the more you practice it, it has a negative impact on your lifestyle and your well-being and your energy and your health. It's that deep. As a designer, I see that because of how music and how discussions and how lifestyle designed in a way that could contribute, or it could enhance our health or the contrary at all. So I wasn't, relevant to this kind of gatherings. I wasn't that girl who seek her value in brands or whatever I hold
Yeah.
or wear or what kind of car. I should have my own value,
Right.
and my value is what gives what I wear the value. It's not the other way around,
I think this is very important. This is very deep. And I think the youth, especially the new generations, like, I think really kind of like need to hear this messaging, because the materialistic culture makes you feel like you are only worth what you wear or what is on your outside. But the deep, like you said, the values, what you hold on the inside, how you treat people, what you do with your life on a deeper level, those are the more meaningful things. But I think everything around us, Sheikha, is kind of designed to like make you think otherwise,
It's all about design, I told you.
It's all about design. I think marketing, once you know marketing and what goes into marketing, it's very difficult to...
And how policies also
Yeah.
are shaped to navigate
Yes.
people and make people,
Yeah.
have a specific lifestyle
Yes.
that, works for the interest of businessmen.
Right.
Or some people,
Right.
So we need to know that. And I think
Yeah.
we need like some, billionaires who speaks about people who spend billions of dollars or thousands of dollars on materialistic stuff. They say that those people are the servant of the
Right.
money.
Yeah.
And for us as rich people,
Yeah.
our mindset is how we make the money works for us.
Right.
In investment, in
Yeah.
this kind of stuff, but not spending in unwisely way on
Right.
shallow stuff. And I think when people think that the fact that I have a shelter and food and something to wear and a beautiful supportive community around me, you are the wealthiest person on that in the world. And being grateful for the smallest thing that we take it as
For granted. Yes.
I think it's really, really important that we forget about it, most of our
Yes.
days of times, and not every people have this kind of privileges.
Right. I think this is a really beautiful message, is to really kind of understand that we have to understand how blessed and privileged we are to live a safe and secure life, and not to be defined by materialistic trends. I mean, it's okay to enjoy beautiful and good things in life, but not to be defined by them, and certainly not to be a captive of these things. I think this is beautiful messaging, and this is why I think more and more younger generation needs to hear that. And I think like even business models, like, because I come from a business background family, so I think there could be ethical business, and businesses could, and trade and business has been a norm in human societies. But I think it's only when capitalism comes in that humans become the products.
Absolutely.
We are the product. And so I think it's very important also to kind of have ethical businesses and go just beyond profit. Look at these profit-making machines, right? And so I think it's very, very important. It's very important to be aware of that. Shaikha, it was wonderful talking to you. But before we let you go, we want to ask you a very important question. How would you describe yourself in one word? And I know it's a difficult question.
I would say intellectual analyst. I would say like that.
Intellectual analyst.
Yes, because I seek intellectuality.
Yeah.
Or the intellectual aspect of everything around me, even when I choose my relations around me or the places that I visit or go. I always seek the intellectual aspects of that design, of those people, of those mindsets, of those community, of those beliefs and values. Everything has an intellectual kind of background out of it, and that's what makes life beautiful.
Thank you so much, Shaikha. This was a beautiful conversation. Thank you for sharing with us your beautiful views and being generous with your time. And thank you to all of you for listening. I want to just say that each one of you who are listening today, you are the reason why I do what I do, because I really believe that beautiful and deep human interactions should not just happen behind closed doors, that we should be able to share them. And if this conversation relates to you, please do share it. And we look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thank you, Shaikha.
Thank you, Dr. Zarqa.